For it to be truly independent and seen to be so, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, must withstand influence from any quarters. The controversy regarding nomination of some politicians for the 2023 elections is presenting the electoral umpire with such tests. INEC has denied that its doctored and backdated document to accommodate nominations of Senate President Ahmad Lawan and former Niger Delta Affairs Minister, that's Godswill Akpabio, as senatorial candidates for the 2023 elections. The commission is said it is yet to recognize any of the two politicians as a senatorial candidate. Mojid, what is the bone of contention here? Because I thought that naturally the case of the Senate President should be simple. He never partook in that primary, and the person that was said to be the placeholder came out to tell INEC that I am not a placeholder, I participated in a primary, and this is my score.
See, I don't know why this should become an issue of discourse in the first instance. I don't know why it should generate any controversy. Remember, there's this Yoruba adage. Maybe I'll explain to Emeka later. Say, "Usodemi man tora edoniso." You know what that means? You put somebody as a placeholder. If you don't trust that person, the person will totally take over.
Of course.
So, it's not everybody that will be as lucky as the Bauchi governor, who used his SSG as a placeholder. And when he came back after losing out of the presidential primary to Atiku, the SSG in Bauchi just resigned, say, I'm not doing it again, no. And they did another election, and the Bauchi governor got his second-term ticket back. Unlike Lawan, the person is used as stakeholder, became what Yoruba also call Akintola.
Akula Taku.
Taku. Say, you die here. And in that situation, unless or except the guy says he's resigning, Lawan cannot. And see, we are forgetting easily that for Lawan and Akpabio, the INEC, the new Electoral Act is very clear.
Yes, Section 115.
And that's why P2B is very clever. You know, a signified interest in the PDP to run alongside Atiku and others. But he withdrew because now what the new Electoral Act as amended says is the moment you take part in a primary in a particular election, you cannot go to another party and
in another capacity.
In another capacity.
Or the same capacity.
Or the same capacity. So I don't know whether these people cannot read English or they feel they are too big for the law that was made by themselves, which they passed for all of us.
Or they are used to the status quo.
You see, you cannot eat your cake and have it. Yeah. This is the same Lawan that wanted to emerge as a consensus candidate and ended up coming 4th or 5th in the primary. So, people should understand that we should learn how to get things right. We should support INEC. INEC started with the Ondo election. Now you can see results as they are coming. I mean, you don't need
the aid of the beavers.
It is difficult to rig elections now. If you can't win at the polling units, although they still have one or two things to work on, because some people are still bypassing the beavers, as we might soon get to know. INEC is not perfect yet, but we should allow them to be truly independent.
But it's also said in that Electoral Act that if you bypass the beavers, that election should be nullified.
Nullified, yes. And that is what I'm saying. INEC too, if you are insisting that Lawan and Akpabio will not be on the ballot, then your electoral process your process of announcing results, if you know that at a particular polling unit, beavers accredits 0, then we should not have a result in that polling unit.
Yes. Or you should have a rerun.
Or you should have a rerun. So, in this particular case, Lawan and Akpabio, they should become party members and look for appointed positions. That is, if they are not elected, that is, if their party,
Wins
the
the
APC,
next
wins
election.
at the national.
Yeah, of course. The INEC has said Machina has gone to court, so that it hasn't done anything. It looked at the story that it backdated its documents and said no. Tried to explain the administrative issue that had to do with the date alluded to. But I think INEC should also be careful so that it doesn't fall into the Rocha Sokorocha case, where it was forced, it had its back against the wall and it couldn't do anything, but it couldn't do other than just to allow him to become a senator. INEC should be wary of such a thing.
Yeah.
And then INEC coming out to say that no contestant had violated section 115D. I mean, I think it's only trying to be clever by half, because if you help politicians to get away with such infractions, what you end up doing is that they will just they will devise more ways of circumventing the law.
It will serve as deterrent.
Yes.
It should,
There should be at least one or two people you use as an example. Don't come and tell us that people didn't wrong, because what they are trying to now say, the scenario that might come up is this: okay, somebody runs for office here, and he doesn't pick this seat, and then another person maybe had arranged with somebody else. He didn't pick the other form.
Yeah.
He had arranged with somebody else who emerged. At the end of the day, he doesn't get the ticket here, and then the party, like what happened in Ebonyi, the party just comes and says, okay, we want to replace the candidate. All right, you, whom we think will be a better choice, come and take it. But the Electoral Act says it cannot happen.
Because there's a deadline for primaries.
It should not happen.
Yeah.
So you cannot try to reinvent the wheel. You can only make it better. But even at that, don't try to circumvent the law, which is what Nigerian politicians have failed to realize, that the law remains the law. But, well, INEC itself should also understand the law. If the entire National Assembly could not see how they shot themselves in the foot by denying themselves of the opportunity to be delegates at the primaries, then of course INEC should up the ante and make sure that it doesn't fall into that. INEC should show that it has a team of researchers that are constantly going through the fine prints of the laws, so that it doesn't get itself into the Rocha Sokorocha.
From what you said now, from what you've seen, the election will be monitoring the off-season election, and we can say boldly that the INEC, that name, the Independent National Electoral Commission, that they are really acting to, that name, that, most of they are cleaning up their processes. It used to be chaotic during the time of Professor Morris. It used to be chaotic. It lacked credibility. And right now, from the time of Atayi Ruchega down to Professor Mahmoud now, we can see the efforts. Now people can say, look, our votes will count.
From the days of V whiskey. You remember?
FEDECO, yes.
FEDECO.
Federal Electoral Commission. Yeah.
See, my dad told me a story. He said he was a coalition officer. They concluded an election in a particular polling unit. Then they don't count elections at a polling unit. So he was taking the ballot box. Normally they take the ballot box to the local government center. In this case now Ekiti. Now, he said before they moved from the polling unit, which is just like a distance of 10 minutes, from the polling unit to the local government collation center, he was already hearing the results of his polling unit on radio.
That's true.
In way back 1979, I think.
Not today.
But today, now look at the Ekiti election and Osun election. The elections start closing from 2:30. So by
4-5,
by
you
no
have
by no by
a
3 o'clock you start hearing some results.
Yeah.
And
Go to the INEC portal.
at the INEC portal, you will see the way it is progressing. Just like the US election, you will know that in Osun State, for example, is 20% in.
Okay,
There
I
are
have
3,000
Sophia. Sophia, let me quickly pick this call. Sophia is calling us from Okene, that's in Kogi State. Thank you, Sophia.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah. Please, Mr. Jamiu, it's enough. Nobody is buying credit for me. It's enough, Mr. Jamiu. Good evening. Please, do you push you and we endeavor to always pick our call? We are using our money to buy credit.
Sorry about that,
Sophia.
Thank you, Mr. Ayo. You see, I blame their constituency. I blame their constituency.
Go ahead. Sophia.
I blame their constituency.
Okay.
Lawan has been there since 1999. And his constituency keeps on pushing him there. So he's not the only candidate in that constituency. He should go and rest. He should go and rest. Akpabio too should go and rest. From governor 8 years to minister, now to Senate. They are just playing with our intelligence. Please.
Thank you. Thank you, Sophia. Thank you.
Sophia, in America and the UK that we want to emulate, the longer, the better. So,
if you go and look at the ranking House members now,
so let us get them right. If
people
the
like
processes
Honorable
are right,
Femi Gbajabiamila, the speaker there that has been there since 2003 and is coming back again. So you can see the dexterity.
But what we are saying here is the process, the procedure must be right, must be correct.
Yes.
If the constituents decide to elect him through a delegate system,
as many times
as possible,
yes, they can go.
The older the wine, the better.
Yes.
Yeah, so, Winston Churchill spent so many years as.
There's nothing we should get that right. There's nothing.
What it takes, the rules of the house, the things you are going to learn. It takes time. It's not something that you can just be having turnover.
And that's
having
why,
that kind of turnover is not even good for us.
In America, they have a two-year succession so that all of them will not go at the same time. So some will come in, it's a 4-year term, some will come in mid-term.
There's going to be mid-term elections by November now.
I think we need to get that straight.
All right, I'm fine.